have another look at the Gator. I've since taken the engine out of it and have started to pull the transmission out. I think my plan is I'm going to probably make it a four-wheel drive model, because all the metal up front here is just so far gone that I think I'm going to scrap it and start over with it shortened up. Would be my best option. I'm not sure though. We'll see. And the cab part of it is pretty rough itself. The metal is really thin on it. We may just try and put something together that isn't rusty and will run and drive. I mean, basically, you know, it is really far gone. Really shouldn't even be messing around with trying to get it going, but I mean, you gotta try. You gotta at least try. We'll see. Well, things escalated. I barely even had to cut anything to get this thing in half. There's pretty much no saving this part of the frame. It is just beyond bad. I'm not even sure we can save this part. We may have to rebuild an entire rear frame section for it. Whatever comes out of this is probably not going to be a Gator anymore, but it will be something that will run and drive, hopefully. So, I don't know. Stay tuned to see what happens. Alright, this is where I'm at with it now. This is really the only steel I got to work with. I went ahead and just cut the floor right off where the chassis metal started to get good again. This is just what's left of the tin floor. I'll end up cutting that out or just going over it, because this protrudes a little bit into the floor more than the original one. So, I mean, like I said, I'm just trying to make something work out of this mess. I mean, if I get a couple years out of some sort of four-wheeled thing that moves, runs, and drives, then I'll be happy. I mean, I don't have much to work with here, but I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to have to move the transmission back to those axles back there. So I'll have to do a custom mount like this back there, and then obviously mount the engine ahead of that. I'm going to attempt to reuse this rear frame section here, sort out what's rusted and what isn't, and go from there, I guess. So, should be interesting. Stay tuned. That ought to give us a sturdy frame to build off of. I would think. I think it's probably a lot stronger than the original, actually. That ain't going nowhere. Not bad for a flux core make job. Alright, let's keep moving. Okay, went ahead and cut these two pieces of metal and got them tacked on there. The ratchet strap you see is to help hold it square while I weld it. It's nice to have a little speed square. That way you can check instead of just eyeballing. But, you know, close only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and John Deere Gators. So that's where we're at with it. Alright, gonna go ahead and get this buzzed up. That all tacked up and welded up. Now I can release this. Well, maybe I don't want to yet. Maybe keep it right there until I get that piece tacked on. Then I'll take the strap off of there. I'm not the best welder, and I'm only dealing with a flux core buzz box, but it should hold. It should hold. I mean, it seems pretty sturdy to me, so I'll weld the top once it's down on the ground, and I can worry about a floor and whatnot and this and that. So, but you can see, like I was talking about earlier, it's a bit higher right there. I'll just take a piece of tin and go right to the old floor, and that'll cover all this, and might be a little bit less foot room for the pedals and stuff, but oh well, it'll work. Okay, stay tuned. Okay, so I went ahead and cut this piece. And if you're wondering why it's wider than the square I made to come off of the front half of the frame, is because it's the same measurement as the width of that frame, so I can hopefully somewhere adapt it to that. Not sure where yet, or if I will, but anyway, it's the same measurement, so that means I can build something structure-like that will accept those axles and be the same distance apart for the transmission and the collars that connect the transmission to the axles. So that's where I'm at with it. Gonna go ahead and get that welded up, so stay tuned. Well, we got that on there. If you noticed in the video, I had to stop and put that strap back on over there because I kind of messed up a little bit by welding that side totally complete before I put a tack on this side. And what that did was it made the piece of metal go like this away from the squareness of the other two. So, my mistake, but luckily I caught it and didn't just try to fill the gap, because then this would have been way out of square, and trying to line this up with that chassis over there would have been hell. So, alright, moving on. Went ahead and gave it some paint. Green, as closest color as I, well, have. Just to give it some rust protection. So, I'm about to flip this back over and try and get it level so that I can build off of it, because yeah, I'm not gonna try and reuse that, because after further review, it's really freaking bad. I mean, terribly bad. So, I think what would be wise here is to just make a skeleton of some sort coming off the back with these same measurements and try and build something else. I mean, other frame, something else is what I'm saying. Because this one here, not gonna happen. It's so chewy, it's unbelievable. And all the patchwork attempts that were done on it in the past, not by me. Yeah, they've just made a mess out of it, so I'm gonna try and build something else. Alright, so now what I've done, I went ahead and flopped it back over and threw a strap up and over the rafters so I can suspend that in the air. You gotta chock the wheels to do that. I still gotta level it, but only lengthways, because that tire won't hold air, so just kind of gotta use a square for the rest of it to do that, because I don't have a level floor anyways, so just got to do what I can do. I think this will work though. Just keep it somewhat level and build off of that. Make a new frame section. Obviously, this is where your feet are gonna go, so that's not. We can deal with that later. Doesn't look too bad. Does not look too bad at all. But I'm running out of the C-channel. But I have a bunch of square tubing that I can use. I mean, the main part of this is done. I have enough to make one more of these, exactly this length, for the back, so I can tie it all in. I'm going to use this piece of steel that I found. It's like, I don't know, probably 3/16 thick, so pretty substantial piece of steel. And I mean, it is basically what this was that held the engine and transmission in. What I'm going to do is just lay that long ways on that bottom lip of that C-channel, and we will mount our engine and transmission off of that. And this hunk of steel that I found, which is substantially thicker than the original frame here, I'm going to cut squares out of this and use this as a template to trace for my holes for the axles, hubs, axles, whatever you want to call them. And we'll weld them to the very back, because that's where the transmission is going to be now. And then we can build from front to back and back to front, if you know what I mean. So, all right. Okay, I've got this piece of steel somewhat mocked up. And that is going to be the new belly pan for the engine and transmission. Now I just got to get that tacked in place to the right measurement, and then I can cut the back piece that is the same width as that. Start putting her together. Alright, so just got this piece tacked on, and I'm within 1/8 of an inch as far as squareness from that point to that point all the way around. And I can fine-tune that a little bit more with the back piece I put on this side here. Remember guys, we ain't building the piano, just the box it goes in. Keep in mind that this is on a slight angle, so you're going to have a gap right here to fill in if you're using C-channel like me. So just take your square and look down there. 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 Okay. That is what matters, not that gap. So, let's move on. Got that piece welded on there. Now I'm going to cut the back one and get that one welded on. Alright, day number 2 working on this hunk of crap. You might notice that it's a little bit further along than yesterday's video where that ended off. That's because the battery died on my phone and I didn't film the last little bit of fabricating that I did yesterday. Anyways, got the rear end ready to drill holes in for the transmission and the hubs. So then we can mount the engine and put the belt on and make sure that's got the correct spacing and where it needs to be. I have no idea if this engine runs, by the way. I've never tried it. So that'll be fun. Got to finish the floor. The goal today is to make it a roller, hopefully. And then we can start addressing the cab issue. So, alright. More issues. Alright. Right about now would probably be a wise give-up point. But we're not gonna. We're gonna keep going. I got another idea. This bolt is absolutely lodged into that very pitted case. We'll see what we can do. Well, that's not good. Out of nowhere, just developed a massive oil leak. Probably from clearing away the rust on that belly pan. I think it's just the drain plug from being so pitted, that aluminum. Might be able to throw some silicone on it and fix it, but I don't know. I'm gonna push forward, and whatever happens, happens. I guess we'll just keep adding oil to it. I mean, not much else I can do other than plug it off completely. Okay, got the transmission tacked into place. And if you're wondering if I sort of cheaped out on making transmission mounts, yes and no. I sort of did, but I mean, it'll work. Look what it's for. So, a lot of this plate was still good. So I just squared it off and mounted it to this back piece, which we know is square. And those shafts, we'll have to drill and cut holes for the spindles, hubs, axles, whatever you want to call them. Still got a massive oil leak. That helps out a lot when you're welding. Oh well. I think what we'll do is try and find the oil leak and just, I don't know, gob some JB Weld on it, because, like I said, the case of this transmission is eaten. It's just eaten alive. It's so pitted that I don't think any amount of thread sealer or anything would fix it. So I guess we'll just keep adding oil to it. It's kind of a bummer. That almost shut the project down, but I mean, it's still free and it still wants to work. It just leaks oil. So we'll fill it full of grease if we have to. Anything to make it work. All right. Stay tuned. Okay, so what I've gone and done now is I'm not kidding this time, the last of the C channel I have, aside from that little trunk right there, I raised the motor mount because this is raised over here, and swapping the engine around to where the transmission's in the back, because remember this was a 6-wheel model, the exhaust is in the wrong place for that. So in order to solve that, I'm gonna just raise the engine up, and that'll put the belt at a different angle so it will clear the exhaust, and then we can tackle that issue. But I'm gonna weld this old engine bracket on here. Don't mind my non-square cuts over there, those are irrelevant anyways. I'm going to weld this to this, and then I'll be able to move the whole works. Oh, also I'm going to bolt the engine onto that. Then I'll be able to move the whole works and line up the belt. And after that happens, I can go ahead and tack it down to our main plate here. And we should have a functioning engine and transmission in their locations. And then, to address the frame, tying it all in, because as you can see, it's still flexy, but it won't be once we box it in. I didn't want to do any of that stuff yet because, I mean, I got the utmost room to work with right now as it is, so I wouldn't want to take away any of that working area or put a piece of square tubing in my way. So, okay, well, stay tuned. Okay, so nothing's tacked down yet, engine-wise, but you can see what I was talking about there. That one exhaust bracket is really close to that belt, and I think I still have to notch it out, but we'll see what happens. If it rubs, then definitely yes, we'll have to notch it out, but if not, I'm going to leave it alone. And it may be too close to the muffler, I'm not sure. All things that can be changed. This belt isn't the greatest anyways, so might as well just test it out. See what happens. It's kind of how the whole project's going. Oh well. If you like the way this project is going so far, be sure to subscribe. Franklin Stein's Garage. At least hit the like button. You can do that for me. Alright, let's get this thing tacked in there. Let's see what happens. Okay, engine is welded in. So, I figured you guys were getting tired of time-lapsed welding by now, so I just went ahead and did it. If not, let me know, and I'll be sure to get every bit of welding in the video. But it just gets tedious after a while. So, engine is in place. And the way I line that up, that I didn't talk about in the last video, just took a straight level and lined it up that way. The best I could, anyways. Did the same thing on this side. It's pretty well lined up. I can only get it so close. I think it's time to move on to the axles now. Okay, so I found the center of where that shaft goes and measured the width of this part here, because that has to inset inside of this piece of metal here, and this part gets mounted flush up against this plate, and we'll have to drill holes for that later. Yeah, don't ask me how I got the center point and found out how much I needed to cut out there, because well, I already forgot. So, I'll just have to relearn on that side. Anyway, keep going. Well, wouldn't you know it, I screwed up again. Not terribly bad, but not too happy about it. I cut that opening too big. I thought that the more room the better for this to move around meant more adjustment, but I gave myself too much room. So, I got the alignment pretty good though. Not terrible. We can fix that. The other 3 bolts will drill and line up just fine. So we can get them drilled and lined up and bolted. I could actually even just put a washer on that, but yeah, we'll do it right. I'll probably cut a strip of metal to go from here and here, just to sandwich that and close in this gap here. Anyway, one side's almost bolted on.
Okay, so where are the seats gonna go?
Well, they're gonna go
Like on this frame section, or behind?
I'm gonna build like a box section that comes up, and the back of the cab will be like right here or something like that. So there's plenty of footwell area.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Because I have long legs and a big ass.
You'll be able to fit.
I can't fit now.
You'll be able to fit.
I don't know. Boy, so it's called the Fabricator?
Yes, the Fabricator.
Yeah.
It is called the Fabricator.
So you haven't put a battery in this. You haven't tried to start it.
Nope.
You know why it's dented here? Do you remember?
Yeah, the guy sat on it.
Yeah, because he was on a crutch and he's like,
he sat on it. We had already bought it, and he decided to take a seat on it, and
yeah,
crunched her right in.
it just adds character.
He said that he won't charge extra for the massive dent. Yeah.
The custom bodywork does. Okay, so you said the transmission was leaking.
Yeah. I pointed that out in the video earlier,
okay.
but
I don't know. I wasn't out here. I was inside doing dishes and stuff.
Yeah, no, we'll just have to goop her up. The problem with it leaking is the aluminum is like really pitted and corroded.
And you can't weld that.
But I'm not capable of doing that, no, but I mean...
Well, you don't have a welder for...
Sure I do. It's called JB Weld.
Right at Dollar General for $4.50 a bottle, right?
Yep.
At least it's dry in here.
Yeah, kinda. Somewhat.
I mean, it's not dripping on your head.
No.
Okay, so what's your plan with this? We haven't hooked up any electrical.
I can't because the rear frame section's not done yet.
Okay.
That'll be last.
So we have no idea if this works at all.
No, not a clue. I know the motor's not stuck and it turns over.
Is there a shortcut for it if it doesn't? If this is the wire harness, correct?
Yeah, everything's there.
If there is a short through that wire harness, which if there
could be,
what is there like a, like a way to like bypass it and do like a direct connection to make it run, or
I'll figure something out.
Dumb? Like
I'll figure something out. I've gotten this far. I think I could figure that out.
All right, so the 6-wheeler
is no longer a 6-wheeler.
It's currently only has 2. Will have 4.
Yep.
The Fabricator.
The Fabricator. Yes. So I'm gonna probably go with different rims and tires in the back to make it taller. And I have those over here.
Not these?
No, because
are they too tall?
No. Let's see, how tall are they? Probably 25s. I don't know. Yep, 25s. But I'm gonna try and put these skinny, tall lawn tractor tires on it. It's so wet back here. Because I believe they're the same bolt pattern. And it'll make it sit up taller in the back. Because I lost probably 1.5 inches of ground clearance due to the way I mounted the transmission.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the cab is mostly...
shot.
Oh. It's mostly shot. Okay.
It's mostly shot.
Well,
but only on the bottom.
It's the fabricator, so
yeah,
you can
I'll make it.
fabricate.
Yes, I'll make it work.
Look at how pretty
we're gonna have to make it work.
Look at how pretty they are. You can see the years of rust.
Yeah, it's just gorgeous.
Just like a tree.
Yep.
You know. See how old the tree is by the.
Look at this shipmobile part of it.
Yeah.
Of course, Willie's gonna act up.
Because he heard Mama. Mama has a dog food casserole up there for him.
Here's a better explanation as to why I am totally rebuilding the rear frame section. It's just ass whooped.
I can get a light out. Do you need a light? To see? You know you can turn the light on your phone, right?
I know that.
Okay. Can you see better when I turn the light?
Yeah, I mean, it's ass whooped. It's ass whooped. Totally shot. This, much better. Much, much better.
Some decent welds. I know you were...
Decent. That'll work.
I mean...
Look what it's for.
It doesn't matter, right? As long as it does the job.
Yeah. I think they'll hold.
Yeah. But you have to make sure rollover or falling off may cause death.
This thing ain't rolling over. Hey, look. It's already got the picture of the four-wheeled model on there. So
yeah, it's like...
Even right here it does. So
it's like a prophecy. It's a prophecy.
There's just no way we're going to make it a six-wheeled model again.
What bed are you going to put on it?
I have a yard cart that I'm going to cannibalize and make a bed.
Yeah.
Yes.
A yard cart, not the one you usually use, though.
No, one of the other 50 ones I have.
Yeah. The least rusted of the bunch?
No, it's pretty rusted.
Oh.
Yep.
Of course it is. Whatever. Throw a floor mat in and you're fine, right?
Yep.